Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 2 of Inside Job. So, the first episode didn't impress me, and in fact, I wasn't really a huge fan of it. It just reminded me too much of stuff like Rick and Morty. Which, for some people, that might be great. For me, it's not. As I've made clear in the past, I don't like Rick and Morty. I don't, hate it explicitly or anything, but I don't like it. I feel it's very... What's the word? I can never think of the word. It's very pompous, I guess, since I can't think of the other word. And just comes across as like they're trying too hard to be smart with their humor, and it just ends up failing. Just the idea as well of the government agency just like hiding all of the conspiracy theories that just happen to be true. It's just like I'm not into that, I guess. I think I said in the first episode, Afterthoughts, I think it would be better if instead our main character was part of the government but was trying to stop people from spreading this information. And maybe trying to confront the people and figure things out like that. By having it all be true and everything, it's just, I don't know, it just feels boring to me. It's like, I don't see the humor in it. The conspiracy theories and all being true, it's just like, it just comes across as silly and not in a entertaining way. It might just be me, but I'm willing to give it another chance. I'm willing to check out some more to see if maybe it was just that first episode. But yeah, it wasn't a promising start for my tastes, I guess you could say. And the problem with that is it's a donation reward from Matthew Vasquez. And so because it's a donation reward, I have to give it as much of an attempt as I can to be fair to the donator and all. But it's just, I just don't see the appeal yet. Hopefully that changes. Hopefully it was just a case of a bad first episode. Maybe they'll improve on it with the upcoming one. We're gonna give this an episode by episode basis at this point. It's only 10 episodes for the season, and as such, I think that the series will really kind of hit its stride a lot earlier. Usually these shows do. When there's less episodes for a season, they usually don't have to meander around. They can get to the point, and they're allowed to, just hit it all ahead of time. I can't speak, but you know what I mean, hopefully. So yeah, that's my goal, my hope here, that by the end of this episode we should be able to tell. We should hopefully be able to get a good feel for what this series is going to be about. And either by this episode or next episode, I should be able to 100% say whether or not this is for me, and decide whether or not I'm going to keep watching or drop it. It should happen with this episode or next episode. If this episode doesn't give me anything in regards to that, I don't know at that point. We'll see. We will see, though. And again, as always, I'm very much hoping to like this. Just because I have some misgivings about the first episode doesn't mean that I'm hoping to go into this disliking it. It doesn't mean I'm looking for any troubles. That's not how I like to view things. I want to go in as positive and hopeful as I can. And we'll just take it from there. So, we're going to get this started, hope for the best, and see what episode 2 has in store for us. Excuse me. And let's just find out. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I think the biggest issue here, more than anything else, is I just don't find it funny. Like, this is a comedic series. It's a comedy. It's meant to be funny. That's kind of its main draw. So if you're watching a comedy series and you don't find it funny, what's the point? Like, you're missing the main draw of it, and it's not doing anything for you. And when I look at a series, story and characters usually matter most to me. And even with that, story-wise, it's just I guess a bunch of ridiculous bullshit. Because it's all it is like, okay, what conspiracy theory are we going to talk about this week? First, it's the president is a robot. Then we have clones. It's like, it's just covering your basic bitch conspiracy theories. And that's all the story is. Each episode is a different conspiracy, right? So, I don't get it. Again, maybe it's just not for me, but it's just, I don't understand the appeal. And I think I mentioned in the first episode, like, maybe it's because of seeing and hearing all these conspiracy theories in real life that has, like, just made them something I just don't want to experience that often. But it's like, I'm just very much avoidant of this kind of stuff a lot of the time. And with the characters, I don't really like any of them. Like, every character in this is kind of a piece of shit. To different degrees and for different reasons, but still. It's like the general guy is just so excessively unlikable. And the entire being half dolphin thing is like, I don't get the joke. And I don't care to. On top of that, you have the other lady in the group. I don't know her name offhand. She's just kind of there. I don't really get much of a personality or character from her. You have the one guy who's, I guess, a little bit of a kiss ass, but not even in a fun, interesting way. You have Mike, I think his name is, the mushroom guy, the mushroom alien. He's just there. That's the problem, I think. All of these characters are just kind of there. they don't stand out to me at all. Reagan is the only one who has like notable personality of our main group. And then you have her father, who is so excessively unenjoyable to watch that it's not funny. And it's just, I don't see the appeal in any of this. But even with just this episode, it's like the entire JFK clones, Akira reference, and just Reagan's father tricking JR into like giving him more stake in the company and shit. It's like, whoop-de-fucking-do. I'm not invested in any of this. I'm not invested in anything in this series. And again, I guess I could just say it feels very much like Rick and Morty to me. And that's not a good thing, because as I've said, you guys know I don't like Rick and Morty. I think the humor is pretty, well, humorless in that series too. I don't see the appeal. I don't find it funny. I don't enjoy any aspect of it, really. There's like a couple jokes randomly here or there that work. But they're so far and few between that it's like most of the time I'm just sitting there with a blank expression on my face. Like, I was very aware of that while reacting, that I was just sitting there most of the time not saying anything with this blank, bored expression on my face. And it was bothering the shit out of me. Because that is the worst thing I feel a reactor can do. To not react. You know? To just be sitting there completely blank-faced, it shows that you're not enjoying yourself. Especially when you're doing this for a very long time. If it's just like a slow part of the episode, that's one thing. But if you're doing it for a notable part of the episode and everything, and you're not clearly enjoying it otherwise, it's like, then what's the point? What's the appeal? And again, if you like any series that I don't, or vice versa, all the power to you. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, because you're not. It's all subjective, and you are completely in the right to like whatever you like, no matter who agrees or disagrees with it. Just because I may not enjoy this doesn't mean you can't. But yeah, let me check something real quick. I feel like there's something I want to check here. So give me a quick second. You. Sorry for not saying anything. I'm looking something up. Okay, I was looking up like when Matthew, you requested this. So yeah. It was actually quite a few months ago. I did not realize this. Like, really? Like, you requested this on Kipo Season 2. This was 7 months ago. Holy shit. I did not realize it had been that long. Hmm. Weird. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, I don't think this is for me. And I hate to say that. I hate to do that, but I feel like with only 10 episodes, I feel like this is probably as good as it's going to get. I don't think it's really going to be enough different by this point to change anything, to make me like it any better. It's like by a certain point in a series, and you can usually determine it based on season length and stuff like that. Not always, but by a certain point, you can usually tell if you're going to personally enjoy a series. That it's not always the case. There's always exceptions, but it's definitely one of those cases here for me. Because again, I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna change any much more than this. I think like what we've seen in these first two episodes is what we're gonna get with this show, and it's just like this is clearly not my thing. It's clearly not a series that appeals to me in any way. I'm not enjoying it. Um, I wish I could be willing to give it more chances, but at this point, I don't feel like that would. I just don't feel like that's necessary. I don't feel like I'm enjoying it. I don't like the characters. I don't like the story. I don't like kind of the premise in a way. It's clearly not for me. It's not my kind of humor. It's not my kind of character work or whatnot. So I think the best option here would be just to call it. Like some of you may think that, oh, I'm calling it too early, but again, it's only 10 episodes. 2 episodes is not that short of a time when you only have 10 episodes in a season or series or whatnot. So you have to take that into account. Because as I said in the pre-thoughts, with only 10 episodes, they're not going to just hold back. They're going to be able to and willing to like push forward with this in the direction they want without having to wait. Without having to meander around. So yeah. For Matthew and for everyone else who enjoys this series, I do apologize, but it's clearly, again, it's not for me, it's not my thing. And since it's just going to lead to a bunch of reactions where I'm just bored and not enjoying anything, I feel like I just should probably call it here. And I hate to do that, I really do. But I have to make that judgment call. So the question is, what will replace it, since we only did this for 2 weeks? Well, this slot, the Wednesday slot, is still our donation reward slot. So, we're not going to go to Doom Patrol yet, because as I said, with all the other big shows starting up, we just don't have time for another hour-length show each week. Even though I'm ready to get back to something that's on a more serious level with its content, like Doom Patrol. Which is weird to think about because Doom Patrol's goofy as fuck, but it covers some very serious topics still. I'm ready to get back to it in terms of its content, not in terms of its length, because I just have too much else going on at the moment with reactions. Especially with Tuesday and Thursday both being, double stacked. Sounded weird. Weird way to put it, but whatever. Either way, so we just kind of have to move down the list of other things on our schedule for donation rewards. And so the question is, it basically comes down to, would I rather do something new or something that I had already started before. Because I'm looking at the list here, and there's a few things that are new that I haven't started yet. Although one of them is not entirely new. It's a season of something that I've seen other seasons of, but never got to that one. So it's not entirely new, but the other two are definitely new. And then there's a couple things that would be returning. And at this point, I know what I want to do, and I think I'm just going to judge it based off of what I want to see at the moment. Based on what these other ones are, and for a couple of them I know very little about them, almost nothing, but based on what everything else on my list currently is, I think this is just something that would be nicer to watch, something that I can get a little more into while all of this other big shit is happening. You know, because again, we have all these big shows that are going on for Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. We have Obi-Wan, The Boys Season 3, Miss Marvel. It's like with all these big shows, double-length episodes every week, I want something that is, I guess, a little lighter maybe would help out. Just it would help out with me wanting to get to reactions a little better, and it would be a little nicer in that regard. I would just it would help me really enjoy getting to the reactions more, if that makes sense. And so I think the best option would actually be to bring back something that we finished the first season on semi recently. I didn't initially plan to get back to this soon, but I kind of want to. And I feel like just in terms of everything going on with the channel's schedule currently, this would be the best thing to currently bring back that would just keep me as invested as possible. And especially after this show did admittedly disappoint me, as it did, I want something that actually has impressed me the further I went into it, with the first season, mind you. So obviously I'm talking about Amphibia Season 2. The series just recently ended with its third and final season, and so that's another reason I want to get into more of it. But also, again, I think its tone and everything is just going to be kind of what I need right now. Again, with all the other big reactions that I'm currently doing, I think just tone-wise, this will help me. I think it's the best decision for me as the reactor. So I hope that's okay. We'll still be getting to the other stuff on the list. It's just that we're waiting at the moment with everything going on. We'll still get to more Doom Patrol. We'll still get to more Fire Force. We'll get to the other stuff that's been suggested. Everything will come into play. Right now, I think something that is a little more lighthearted in terms of tone, even though it can get pretty heavy at times from what we saw in Season 1. I just think the general tone of Amphibia will be something that will, again, help me out with everything else that we're reacting to at this time. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. And again, I apologize to you, Matthew, for dropping this series. I know you've probably been waiting like 7 months for me to get to this in the first place. And now that I get to it, we only do 2 out of the 10 episodes. I do apologize. I really do. But it's very clearly not for me. Very clearly, this series is for people who are more fans of this kind of adult animation. And I specifically mean this kind of adult animation. Fans of stuff like Rick and Morty would probably be fans of this series. And it's like, I'm not. The kinds of adult shows I tend to like are the stuff more aligned with, I guess, Invincible in terms of animation. Or even, Close Enough. Or more stuff like that, I guess. not so. I guess it. I can't say it's the comedy thing because Close Enough is a comedy, but I like the humor in Close Enough. I guess it's just the kind of animated adult comedies that tend to try too hard, in my opinion, to be quote unquote adult and end up just, again, in my opinion, feeling like a young teenager's misguided view on what adult humor is actually about. um Again, it gives me the same vibes as stuff like Rick and Morty, so it's clearly not my thing. But that happens. Not everything's going to be. Not everything's going to be my thing. Not everything's going to be your thing. If you dislike something that I love, that's perfectly fine. And if you love something that I dislike, that's also perfectly fine. I'm willing to give anything a chance, pretty much. So I'm not like worried about like, oh, don't donate for this or whatever in the future. No, as long as it's not at like maybe a couple certain things. Donate for anything, even if it seems like I wouldn't like it. You never know. There's been things I didn't think I would like that I ended up loving. So it happens. But definitely tell me in the comments below, what do you think of this series? Do you enjoy it a lot more? Or do you find the flaws in it like I do? Just personal flaws, I mean, too. Let me know your thoughts. And I do apologize, but it's clearly not my kind of humor. For now, though, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.